Hello everyone, bringing you another unboxing video today where we're looking at some more East German kit that's arrived. A big thank you to Tommy Richter, and I think really it's fair to say Tommy Richter and family has been a bit of a joint effort in collecting these items for me. I send them to Tommy. They are purchased on German eBay, sent to Tommy, where sellers will not send directly to the UK, and then Tommy sends them on to me. So very much appreciated. It allows me to purchase things that otherwise would not be possible to ship to the UK, which sort of broadens the field in terms of looking for East German militaria and other items to collect. So very, very helpful, and it means I can pick up some bits and pieces which are a little bit harder to find, certainly over here or from sellers who are willing to ship to the UK. So without further ado, we'll get into the main part of the video now and have a look at exactly what's arrived. So here it is, and a big thank you once again to Tommy for collecting all these items together for me and sending them over. As you can see, there's some interesting bits and pieces to have a look at here. I'll be moving this out of the way in just a moment and getting the items out individually to have a look at. A caveat here, not only have I opened this up to avoid the sound and the noise of the tape and everything on the video, I have actually removed an item from here as well. The decontamination kit was included with the gas mask we'll be having a look at. I've removed that because the contents, the bleach solution within, is not very kind to various clothing items and the actual material the respirator haversack, the gas mask bag, is made from as well. So that's been removed and will be cleaned out of its original contents because it just doesn't gel well with the collecting. They're not easy to store in that way, and actually the plastic container for the decontamination kit is eventually weakened by the contents, the gas escaping from the contents. So I've removed that and will be cleaning it up. I haven't got around to doing that yet. Anyway, without further ado, I'll move this out of the way and we'll have a look at some of these items individually. So the first thing to have a look at here is not specifically a military item, but this is a lens case. Open this up here. You can see red felt lined, similar to the camera cases we've looked at on the channel previously, the East German camera cases. These are fairly commonly seen attached to the belts of the Grenztruppen border reconnaissance officers to carry a longer lens for use with the cameras when conducting border reconnaissance. So I wanted one of these. This works with the longer lens, which I included in the video looking at the Praktica MTL3 camera. So this will be a nice element for future displays to be suspended from the belt, and no doubt that will be coming up in a future video, hopefully in the not too distant future. That's the plan anyway. So lens case there, pop that to one side. We have here my first East German peaked cap. I've not owned one previously. This is not a military item technically. This is a police item. Oh, there's some other police items inside it apparently. So this is a Volkspolizei peaked cap. And see the details in there. Something to have a look at in further detail in the future, of course. But it's a size 57, so I'm not sure if it'll be a good fit on me, but it wasn't expensive, so nice to have one of these. There are a few other Volkspolizei items in here. As you can see, we have some badges here. So, oops, there we go. So we'll talk about those more going forward as well. There are a few police items in here because that is an area of interest for me as well, particularly towards the end of the existence of the GDR. The police forces of the GDR and their operations at that time, quite interesting. We have here a Makarov holster. Open this up here. This is actually one that's been issued and used, which is nice. Most of the ones you see for sale are unissued, so I actually wanted one with a bit of wear to it, and one that's actually been issued, and I say we do have the name in there and the number at the top there. I'm not sure of the significance of the number, so if anyone knows, I'd be interested to know. But nice to have, and as I say, I was actually after one in issued condition with a bit of wear and tear to it rather than an unissued example, because it's of more interest to me having an issued one. A few other smaller items in here. I can dig these out. We have some shoulder boards here. So some more police items. Let's have a look here. So we have a couple of Riot Police Volkspolizei Bereitschaft shoulder boards, field uniform and the service uniform. A couple of those there, and a couple of the collar tabs for officers. You can see there. Still in the packaging, nice to have, and a set of repair of subdued field uniform shoulder boards. A couple of pairs of those would just be useful going forward. Another Grenztruppen related item here, which the lens case really is, even though it's really a civilian item. We have here a UFT 721 radio. Now, these were used by Grenztruppen for local communication. It's essentially a police radio, or the equivalent of a police radio. And these were issued out, I believe, in the 1970s and into the early 1980s, and then you have a newer version introduced in the course of the 1980s. I'd like to get an example of one of those as well. But this is very nice to have and will be a nice addition to displays on the mannequin, recreations of kit, that sort of thing. Obviously you have the loudspeaker microphone here and the radio body itself with the various controls there. Something I'll talk about in more detail going forward. The aerial, the antenna actually runs up the shoulder strap, which is quite neat. It's integral to the shoulder strap, as you can see there. Plugs in here, and then the cable for the antenna is looped around this plastic stud on the shoulder strap, which is quite neat. So there we are, that's a look at that. The next item to look at here is another Volkspolizei item, and we have a service uniform jacket here, as you can see, the green piping to the collar there. So this is a slightly earlier example, and green piping around the collar tabs as well. This M44, which I can get into, so it's somewhat my size. I'd probably be a little bit more comfortable in M48, but I can fit in an M44. It's not bad. In fact, it looks like a very good tailored cut when I'm wearing an M44. Piping on the cuffs as well. Very smart uniform, this. Obviously, Volkspolizei, Bereitschaft specifically, the riot police, and just a nice thing to have. As I say, these items were not expensive. So, oh, still has the tag on there as well. I forgot to mention that. You can see that there. Still has the tag on the arm. So a nice thing to have. Again, fitting in with that sort of interest in the Volkspolizei. The item I mentioned at the start, which we have here, is a gas mask bag. And now this is rather interesting in that it's a lot shorter than the standard version of these, and it's intended for the PVF. So if I open this up here carefully, you can see in here we have the PVF. Obviously some of the accessories, we have the inner gloves for the protective, you wear these with the outer protective rubber gloves when wearing a chemical suit, and eye inserts there have been included in this as well. The plastic bag there for the PVF itself, and then we have this with the filters installed. I didn't have one of these, and to find one with the associated smaller haversack or gas mask bag is nice to have. This does have a little bit of damage to it, as you can see at the back here. It has damage to the rear there, where something's been resting on it and has damaged the back. And the end pocket here, the reason I know about this, of course, is I dug it out to dig out the decontamination kit. It's had the decontamination kit in here for a while. The fastener is broken. You have both the spigot here missing from the bit on the flap there, and then the section here which would accept that is also missing. So I'm not sure if I can find examples of these to repair them with. You do have the washer still there, which would have been at the back here, at the back there, where the female part of this would have fitted into the side. So I may be able to repair this. I may be able to find an example of one of these, or perhaps salvage one off another haversack to repair the side pocket there for the decontamination kit. But you can perhaps see the discoloration in there from where the decontamination kit has been. So I've removed that, as I say, to stop it doing any further damage to this. But nice to have, not particularly common to find, so I'm pleased to have this. Just pop that away in there, along with the bag, and put that to one side. A very common item, but one I wanted to find. It's a shame this is actually quite worn condition, which wasn't shown in the listing, but never mind. I can probably polish it up and bring it back for display. We have a leather belt, a later pattern of leather belt with the later form of buckle and end piece there. Obviously there were two earlier versions of this, and this is the more common one from I think the 70s onwards, perhaps the late 60s. I'm not entirely sure when this style of buckle with the hook on the buckle was introduced. Originally the hook was on the end of the belt here, and there's a little loop on the back of the buckle, and that was modified at some point during production, and certainly by the 1980s this would be the standard way of doing things for both the leather belt and the nylon belt used with the field equipment. So one of those, again, not expensive. I don't think the listing did show such a worn belt, but I can probably do something with that. So leather belt there anyway. A couple of rubberized straps for the field pack, you can see there. So they must have come with something else. I don't believe I ordered those. I think they must have been thrown in with something else, but thank you for including those, Tommy. Let's have a look here. A mint unissued version of the last sort of standard haversack. You can see in here the dates in there, and this is in unissued condition, as you can see. So happy to have one of those. Just nice to have an example in this condition for the collection. We have here another camera as well. I'm very pleased with this. This is the Exa 1A. You can see that we have the little brochure here as well. Open this up, details in there. And the reason I'm interested in this is these were used by the Grenztruppen in addition to the Praktica MTL3, which we've looked at previously, used slightly earlier on in the 1970s. And this is in lovely condition, as you can see. I don't know if it's working or not, but for display, it's spot on. The case is in very nice condition. And this again was not expensive. These are relatively rare. Well, relatively rare. They're not that uncommon, but they seem to fetch a premium. So I was very pleased to pick this up for the price I got it for. And this will be featuring in future videos, displays going forward as well. So very pleased to have this. I'll pop that away for now, and we have a look at the rest of what's arrived. As I say, this is not, the purpose of this video is not to look at everything in detail, just to have a look at what has arrived. So that's another element of the various bits and pieces which have arrived. And I think there's one last thing to look at here. Let's have a look at this. So this is a naval issue rain cape, which is rather nice to have. You can see the gold button at the collar there. And interesting, it's thrown off, I think it's thrown off the colour balance on the camera there slightly. We've got a slightly yellowed effect now from having this in shot. This is a lovely thing to have, and we'll be featuring in future videos going forward, particularly looking at the recreation of the kit of a member of the Grenzbrigade Kust, which of course was the Grenztruppen protecting the northern coast of East Germany. And they were equipped with both field uniform and elements of naval equipment and uniform as well. So that's quite interesting to talk about going forward, I thought. And I've wanted one of these to sort of complete that kit for a little while. And Tommy very kindly actually ordered this for me off the local version of eBay, which operates in Germany, I think elsewhere in continental Europe as well, where you can order things more locally. And this was available on there, and Tommy very kindly purchased it for me and sent it over, because obviously I can't purchase through there. I don't have a suitable address and so forth to make local purchases. So very pleased with this. It will feature itself on the channel going forward, no doubt. But my main interest in getting this was to complete kit for a member of the Grenzbrigade Kust, so I'm very happy to have that. And there's a final Volkspolizei related item to talk about here, and that is this. It wouldn't fit in the main box that Tommy sent everything else in, so this came in a separate tube, and it's a police baton, as you can see. It's the longer version. I believe these were introduced in the early 1980s to replace the shorter version based on observations of experience of police in the rest of the world, and it is quite a serious piece of kit, as you can see here as I hold it. There's some considerable length to that, so this again fits in with my interest in the latter days of the GDR and obviously the riot police out in force, and will feature in future videos looking at the kit of the East German police at the time. I have a belt clip for this. Obviously I would like to pick up a riot shield and helmet as well at some point, but they are slightly more expensive items, so we'll see about that. But an interesting part of that period of the GDR, and an interesting item to have in the collection from that point of view. And it fits in with my general interest in the Cold War, really, I suppose. It's that element of history, having a display of the kit that was used at that time is what I'm going for, and this fits in nicely with that. So thank you again, Tommy, for allowing me to have all these bits and pieces sent over to you and then sending them on to me. It's much appreciated, and hopefully it's been of interest having a look at these. So some really nice additions to the collection there, particularly those items which allow me to finish off a set of kit which I've been working on for a little while. Thank you once again, Tommy and family, for your assistance with this. It's much appreciated. It means that some gaps in the collection have been nicely filled, and obviously with items which otherwise are a little bit difficult to find in the UK or find from sellers willing to ship to the UK. So the assistance is greatly appreciated. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more from the channel, please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. And whether you're newly subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, the notification button down below, which will of course alert you when I upload future videos. But that is everything for this video. So until next time, bye for now.